Well, I think that might be it for the seats. So if you're just in the, if you're in the highway here, you'll have to move to the side.
Oh my goodness, we have to squeeze. No, we're not going to squeeze.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Virginia Trioli from ABC TV, and I'm delighted to be your host for this evening's celebration of Australians' women's and non-binary writing. Welcome everyone to the 2024 Stella Prize Award Night. Welcome. To begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we are meeting this evening, the Wurundjeri and Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to elders, past, present and emerging, and acknowledge the custodianship that has been so beautifully done here for tens of thousands of years on these unceded lands. The Stella Prize is one of the most anticipated awards on the Australian literary calendar. Now in its 12th year, it's boosted the careers of women and non-binary writers, changed the literary landscape and ignited fierce discussions of the long and short list of books in book clubs, cafes, libraries, on social media and in universities where all the discussions should take place. Stella has a track record of lifting the profile and the book sales of the 12 writers listed for the prize, not only for the winner. Tonight, the 2024 Stella Prize winning author will be awarded $60,000 thanks to the generosity of the Stella Forever Fund. I know it's a great sum of money. Never be shy about applauding the cash. That's thanks to the generosity of the Stella Forever Fund, and that's an initiative that secured in perpetuity the winner prize money. Now, while reading the books of this year's shortlist, I was also, for some obscure reason that I really can't track all the way back to, I was also rereading the collected essays by the Italian writer Natalia Ginzburg, the Sicilian-born post-war novelist and essayist who, as a serious anti-fascist, also took the task of what she called her vocation of writing just as seriously. She wrestled with the gravity of the work that she felt called to do, and she wrote these famous words on the work of a writing woman using her voice. As a vocation, it is no joke. We are constantly threatened with grave dangers whenever we write a page. There is the danger of suddenly starting to become flirtatious and of singing. And there is the danger of cheating with words that do not really exist within us and that we have picked up by chance outside of ourselves and which we skillfully slip in because we've become a bit dishonest. As you see, it is quite a difficult vocation, but it is the finest one in the world. The days and houses of our life, the days and houses of the people with whom we are involved, books and images and thoughts and conversations, all these things feed it, and it grows within us. It is a vocation which also feeds on terrible things. It swallows the best and the worst in our lives, and our evil feelings flow in its blood just as much as our benevolent feelings. It feeds itself, and it grows within us. Now, in the way that writing always seems to find us just at the right time, it seemed to me no coincidence that I should be reminded of Natalia's serious admonition just as I was reading the deeply introspective, expansive, affecting and powerful books on the shortlist for this prize this year. Books that have cost the authors something of themselves and that remind us of the grave responsibility of being thinking, feeling, writing people in this world. It's now my pleasure to introduce Karen Murray, the outgoing chair of Stella's board, on her final night as chair of the board. Please welcome her.
Thank you, Virginia. I too acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and to all the First Nations people here celebrating with us tonight. First Nations people are the first storytellers of this land. Their stories create connection to country, and they create their ongoing sovereignty, which has never been ceded. As Virginia said, my name is Karen Murray, and I'm the chair of the Stella Board. It's really just such an honour to be back here in the State Library of Victoria for the 12th Stella Prize Winner announcement. Being here tonight brings back a lot of memories. I joined the Stella Board back in 2017 to work with other board members and staff to platform writing by Australian women and non-binary writers. Over the past 7 years, it's been a privilege to see the organisation grow and achieve so much. In 2019, we expanded the prize to include non-binary authors, recognising that the concept of gender and the experience of gender inequality is not static. In 2020, for the first time, the Stella Count found that the number of books written by women reviewed in our major Australian publications reached and in fact surpassed parity compared to the number of reviews of books written by men. Through 2020 and 2021, we pulled together to weather the COVID lockdowns. We became the first prize to go online in April 2020, and we maintained a deep connection with our community through that time. In 2022, we included collections of poetry as contenders for the prize for the first time, and have since seen 2 incredible poets win the past 2 years. In 2022, we also increased the prize money, and as Virginia said, let's celebrate that, from $50,000 to $60,000 for the winner. And on our 10th anniversary, we reached our goal to endow the prize through the Stella Forever Fund. And thank you to so many of you here tonight that helped us achieve that. Throughout that time, we've also continued to collaborate on the delivery of educational initiatives, writers' residencies, and with writers' festivals all around the country. But, as we all know, there's still so much to do to secure the important work of Stella as an organisation, as we every year connect readers, writers and publishers. So on behalf of the board and the team, it's my great pleasure to recognise the many individuals and organisations who contributed to this celebration this evening and to Stella's work over the past year. The Copyright Agency's Cultural Fund, whose support means that Stella can pay the 5 esteemed judges here in front of me, and each not-listed author for the 2024 Stella Prize. And the Copyright Agency has been doing that since 2018. So thank you for your ongoing and continuing support of Stella and for all that you do to champion literature and the visual arts in this country. I'd also like to thank the McLean Foundation, established by Paula and Rob McLean. The foundation has been instrumental in securing the Stella Forever Fund. Paula, a former board member whose advocacy has really helped Stella reach new heights and goals, and we're very pleased to announce that Paula is joining Stella as our ambassador in New South Wales this year. I also want to take a moment to thank our supporters, including independent brand agency Canyon, for the incredible Stella brand refresh, which you can see all around us this evening. Our media monitoring platform Essentia, whose work in analytics tools are essential to the Stella Count. The Koshland Innovation Fund, and in particular to Ellen Koshland. Many of you know Ellen, and she was one of our first supporters of Stella, and she continues to support us today. Thank you also to Becca Empower, Spices and Southern Impact. I'd also like to thank our partners for this wonderful event, the State Library of Victoria, in whose beautiful Empire Queen's Hall we are celebrating this evening. Thank you in particular to the library's President Christine Christian and CEO Paul Daldick for your ongoing partnership with Stella and for housing us in this beautiful building. Thank you to our bookseller this evening, Readings, in whose Carlton bookshop the idea of Stella was conceived by an incredible bunch of women back in 2011. And thank you also to our generous event sponsors Bonsai, Spiral Foods and Charlie's Fine Food. Finally, thank you to our long-standing ambassador in Victoria, Catherine Andrews, who's with us tonight. And we are also welcoming our new ambassadors around Australia. We have Virginia Halsiger AM in the ACT, Tanya Hosh in South Australia, Paula McLean in New South Wales, Anna Reynolds in Tasmania, Courtney Stewart in Queensland, and Claire Martin AO in the Northern Territory. The future of women's writing is one of that Stella is obviously very passionate about. From the beginning, Stella has driven critical change, promoting gender equality in Australian literature and ensuring that women's stories are widely read and celebrated. The Stella Prize is our flagship program, but our work doesn't stop here. Year-round, Stella delivers a suite of initiatives which actively champion women and non-binary authors, tackle gender bias in our literary sector, and connect outstanding books with readers. This year, we were thrilled to launch the Stella Day Out, a mini literary festival that seeks to connect Stella Prize-listed books with a wider audience around Australia. As Virginia said, this is my last prize night as chair. And truly it's been such a privilege to contribute to and lead the work of Stella. And of course it would not have been possible without the extraordinary Stella board and team. So thank you to my fellow board members. Many of you are here tonight, both present and past. The board is a really fiercely committed group of women who are dedicated to driving gender equality through literature. We know that storytelling and reading are essential to a just society. The board's collaborative approach and support of each other is founded on a deep belief that collective action is critical to drive cultural change. And to our indefatigable Executive Director and CEO, Fiona Sweet, our Communications and Marketing Manager, Gabriella Miles, and our Programmer, Claudia Nankervis, thank you for your work, energy, dedication, passion, and most importantly, good humour. The Stella team is a small but mighty team, and they've worked non-stop to put this evening together. So, while it is with a heavy heart that I say farewell, I know I leave Stella in very capable hands and ready to tackle the future. So on that note, I'd like to hand over to Stella's wonderful Executive Director and CEO, Fiona Sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And thank you, everyone. That's a huge crowd. I can see that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening to celebrate this year's Stella Prize authors. We're delighted to share this evening with so many members of our ever-growing Stella family. I'm honoured to be here today at the State Library of Victoria, and I pay my respects to the Wurundjeri elders past and present, as well as the First Nations authors who are here tonight. I recognise the First Nations people as the first artists, the first storytellers, and the first creators. I'm Fiona Sweet, and I'm the CEO and Executive Director of Stella, and I'd like to start by thanking the Stella board individually, because they are really very special. And I've had many boards in my time, and this is a particularly fabulous board. So Chair Karen Murray, Deputy Chair Claire Weibel-Plater, Treasurer Mary Latham, Secretary Abby Burns, and board members Michelle Chang, Nicole Freeman, Ellie Gay, Jamie Irwin, Louise Jones, Michelle Law, Elizabeth Shaw, and Melissa Smith. And of course, as Karen has already mentioned, my fabulous team, Gabriella Munoz and Claudia Nankervis, and our two interns, Una Healy and Vanessa Tang. And a very special thank you to you, Karen, stepping down after 7 years, and I've been very, very fortunate to have you for the last year, my first year at this job. And the organisation really wouldn't be in this position without your vision and leadership, so thank you. And to everyone who's been part of one of our programs, volunteered your time, shared your expertise, made a donation, or spread the word about our work, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We We can't exist without you. Together, we've put new books into the hands of avid readers. We've developed national initiatives, such as Stella Day Out, to connect Stella authors with new audiences. And we have reignited the Stella Count to expose gender bias in the review pages of Australian media, both print and online. And Stella is much more than a prize. This year's successful events, which took Stella around Australia, are just the beginning of what will be a year-long celebration of humanity that binds us together as lovers of literature and ideas. I've spent the last few months immersed in the worlds brought to life by the vibrant and often incisive words of Australian women and non-binary writers. My book pile has grown, my nights have shrunk, and my desire to bring new reading and new writing and readers together has tripled. Storytelling is the beating heart of our lives. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, we are constantly sharing our stories and listening, reading, or watching what others are experiencing or thinking. We know storytelling and essay writing is vital to understanding ourselves and our place in the world. As journalist and writer Joan Dion says in her book of essays, The White Album, we tell ourselves stories in order to live. It's as simple and as complex as that. But how can we thrive, individually as well as communally, if what we read does not represent the diversity of today's Australia? How can we thrive if some voices are systematically excluded? How can Australian literature make its mark in the world if it's not properly celebrated at home? At Stella, we work hard to ensure women and non-binary writers' stories are at the forefront of our conversations. Over the past 6 months, I've been reading stories and essays from extraordinary Australian writers. The 12 long-listed books for the Stella Prize transported me to Western Australia, Tasmania, Japan, London, 1930s Footscray, and the perhaps not-so-distant AI future. I've also seen my beloved St Kilda through these pages and pondered on the atrocities that we sometimes allow our world to go through. These books have helped me reflect on motherhood and careers. They've made me think about my daughter and mother and friends and the stories that we share and are yet to tell each other. Stories and provocative ideas are at the core of Stella. They are what we fight for. What a privilege to help the organisation and its team propel the words of Australian women and non-binary writers. The more we read, the more kindred, compassionate and attuned we are to our world. This year, our judges read 227 books. Easy at all, and I'm sure plenty of coffee was consumed in the process. They had the task of selecting 12, then 6, and then one book that would be at the forefront of heated discussions, social media, and library queries for months and years to come. What a task. I want to thank our judges, BJ Silcock's chair, Eleanor Jackson, Cheryl Levy, Bram Presser and Eve Rees for their incredible contributions to Stella and the Stella Prize. And to BJ in particular for her leadership and commitment, not just for this year but for the last 2 years. Thank you all for bringing your passion and being advocates for great literature. Your reading process and selection criteria are what makes this night possible and what makes Stella unique. Now we're going to play the videos of extracts from the 6 shortlisted books. Swift Dark Tide by Katia Ariel, Body Friend by Catherine Brabham, Feast by Emily O'Grady, Hospital by Sanya Rushdie, Abandon Every Hope, Essays for the Dead by Hayley Singer, Praiseworthy by Alexis Wright.
That first time, I gasped internally. I know you didn't hear me, but inside that loaded silence, you smelled. There is no other way to say it. Like mine. Not mine like I possessed you, but mine like you belonged in me, were atomically of me. Like your voice and your tiny fingers moving across space as you explained yourself, acted out my earliest inklings of want. Warm wood, hot sand, toasted almonds, my mother's shoulders, my toddler sweat.
That last night, the neighbours of my old house threw a party. At 4 o'clock in the morning, desperate for sleep, we got into Tomas's car and drove to the new house, just a few streets away. The large old trees were hallowed in streetlight. The eyes of a possum briefly struck bright by our presence. The empty rooms felt vast, the tall Victorian ceilings, the heavy wooden doors, the carpeted bedrooms. We hadn't moved anything, none of our belongings, except the large mattress from the house Tomas shared with friends. And so we slept on it, low to the floor, that moonlit island, the only object in the whole quiet house.
When Alison woke at dawn, she rose and went out to search the woods. She found no mushrooms, but she did find this, the rabbit. She applies pressure to the levers of the trap until the steel jaws open and the rabbit's mangled leg is freed. A hissing sound escapes its mouth as she presses her palm to its throat. She does not speak to it or soothe it with soft maternal clucks. It stares up at her, eyes pink as tourmaline, but doesn't struggle until she presses down with the same swift motion she uses when Cracky Patrick's back on the bedroom floor, when he comes to her weary and tense after a long day hunched over piano keys.
I see Glenn going into the TV lounge with a bottle of water. I follow him in there and sit down next to him. When I ask him why everyone went into the courtyard, he shows me the bottom of the water in his bottle, where I see some white grains. Arsenic, I think to myself in bewilderment, and look at Glenn with wide eyes. So it was to protest against this that everyone went into the courtyard. So the courtyard is a place for protests. How active, how romantic. I seize Glenn's hand without even knowing it. My own hand is shaking. Putting the bottle on the floor, Glenn squeezes my hand with both of his.
February 2022. Something smacking together in the darkened air where we are standing, on a darkened slope. Not a real slope, a slant of writing. Here, there is no time, only loads, only the fact of shooting. Only what we might hear in writing. A smack in the face. A smack so overwhelming. A face so overwhelmed by soft vertebrae crack. You could say it's just an ordinary smack. You could say they're just lazy swarms of gnats and horseflies, just sheds, just piglets, just heads to be smacked against concrete. There was not a single soul in Praiseworthy who believed this fellow was real. For asking such a ridiculous question in this day and age, and right in front of the world's greatest human survivors. Weren't they the real business people of all times? Extinctionless, tempest people, from enduring 1 million storms, come from the arc of infinity, right down to the last baby. They were now forced to speak, and yelled that they knew a thing or two about being trodden upon, and being more on trend than the rest of humanity, about how to look after the future.
So to all the 2024 Stella Prize listed authors, congratulations. It's a phenomenal achievement, and your books have touched lives, including mine, and will touch many, many more. I'd now like to ask Virginia to join me on stage, as you are, to present the Shortlist trophies.
So we'd like to hand out the shortlisted trophies to all of the shortlisted authors. Please come to the stage, Kathy Ariel, author of The Sweet Dark Hour. Catherine Braben, author of Body Friend. Emily O'Grady, author of Feast. Sanya Rushdie, Hospital. Hayley Singer, author of Abandoned Every Hope. And Alexis Wright, author of Praiseworthy. Now I'm going to get out of the way so we can take a photo. Congratulations to all our shortlisted authors. Now, to announce the winner of the Stella Prize for 2024, please welcome to the stage the Chair of Judges, BJ Silcox.
I have the best job in the world right now. I've been holding onto this secret for months and then I left it in the bathroom 20 minutes ago. But I have it. We are here tonight to celebrate the elemental power of storytelling in a place of unbroken stories. And I would like to begin tonight by honouring the global network of writers who are doing the vital frontline work of pinning words to the page. Let us honour our truth tellers, fact checkers and dauntless poets. Let us honour our war correspondents and political reporters, our bloggers and essayists. Let us honour our historians and archivists, our dissident novelists, our climate scientists who are reporting from the sharp edge of planetary oblivion. And let us honour our memory keepers, the elders who are passing stories down the line, who are keeping our past alive. When our leaders fail us, and our orthodoxies fail us, and grief and terror threaten to drown us, it is our writers who pick up their pens. They are our bulwark against forgetting, our conscience and our imagination, our engines of discourse. They are brave and they are necessary. It is a deep and mighty privilege to stand here tonight in a room of Australian writers. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your words. And now, to the delicious prize-giving part of the evening. They say what happens in the judging room stays in the judging room. That is the first rule of literary prizes, the cardinal rule, the sacred pact of the locked door, otherwise known as mutually assured destruction of unbridled honesty. But tonight, with the permission of my fellow judges, I am going to break that rule. This year was an extraordinary year for women and non-binary writers, and I think that something extraordinary happened behind our locked door. Heading into our final deliberations, we resolved that passion, rather than denigration, would drive our final decision. We were determined to finish our stellar year with hearts full, rather than bloodied knuckles. And so we used our time together to consider every book on our shortlist as if it were the winner. It was a process of rigorous exaltation, and it was glorious. We indulged our enthusiasms, we luxuriated in sentence craft and the elaborate mechanics of plot, we analysed and contextualised, we imagined the conversations that each book might start, the doors it might open for new readers. We asked hard questions, mighty questions of the books and ourselves and our country. We talked about how each book had reached us, seen us, changed us, shaken us, bruised and healed us. And we read our favourite passages aloud, held the words in our mouths. And then we did it again. 6 books, 6 winners, 6 hours of deliberation, and not a disparaging word. It was our abiding hope that our stellar winner would emerge from these discussions organically by virtue of its accomplishments. And it did. At the end of our 6 hours, I said, the winner of the 2024 Stella Prize is, and we finished that sentence together, unanimously. It was a moment of communal joy, and we are so rarely given the chance, the time, to have smart, unbounded conversations about storytelling and art making and the big, wild world. My profound thanks to everyone at Stella who made that conversation possible. But most importantly to our magnificent shortlist of authors who fueled our conversational fire. They are all here tonight, and so thank you, Katya Ariel, for the Swift Dark Tide. What a deep pleasure it was to surrender to the sensory richness of your memoir and its intergenerational compassion. Thank you, Catherine Brabin, for those sharing. You gave voice to things we had only felt in our bones and never known how to say. Thank you, Emily O'Grady, for being how we reveled in the menace of your book, the delicious discomfort, the moral mirth. Thank you, Samia Rushdie. For the candour and grace of hospital. It was a privilege and a quiet revelation to sit with your narrator and share her mind. Thank you too to Aranava Singh for your patient translation. Together the two of you have enriched Australian letters. Thank you to Hayley Singer for a We read your passages in astonishment. Every sentence, every paragraph, every essay, you shook our ethical cages, but also our art-making brains. And thank you, Alexis Wright, for praiseworthy. What a book you have made, expansive, soul-grappling, life-affirming, history-making, and so deeply funny. Please join me in celebrating our 2024 shortlist once again. I owe my greatest and dearest thanks to my judging panel, to Eleanor Jackson, Brad Presser, Eve Rees, and Cheryl Levy. You are my Stella Prize. Thank you for your generosity. Your intelligence, your care, and your friendship. I think our decision should be announced in the manner in which it was made. So please. The winner of the 2024 Stella Prize is Alexis Wright. Praiseworthy is a canon crusher. It demands and defies comparison. Ulysses, Don Quixote, Moby Dick, Crime and Punishment, the Iliad. These are the kinds of colossal, towering texts that come to mind when considering the literary heft and accomplishment of Alexis Wright's fourth novel. But Praiseworthy leaves them all sputtering in the Anthropocene dust. For starters, it has way better jokes. Praiseworthy is a book for our time and a book for all times, an epic of every when. It is mighty in every conceivable way. Mighty of scope, mighty of fury, mighty of craft, mighty of humour, mighty of language, mighty of heart. Praiseworthy is not only a great Australian novel, perhaps the great Australian novel. It is also a great one-year novel, and it is written in the wild hope that one day all Australian readers might understand just what that means. I do not understand. Not yet, but I can feel history calling to me in these pages, calling to all of us. Imagine if we listened. Please join me in congratulating Alexis Wright.
First off, well, thank you. I'm very proud to stand in our beautiful Victoria State Library today. This library is greater than the sum of us. It holds and cares for all voices of all people in the world without favour, without prejudice, without censorship. Let it remain so. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, stellar judges, fellow writers, friends and family and country. Firstly, I wish to acknowledge and pay my respects to the people of the Kulin Nation and their sovereign lands, and to their elders past and present. I am privileged to be a guest on your country, your unceded sovereign lands, that your people have loved and cared for, nurtured and honoured its creation, beliefs and laws since time immemorial. I also acknowledge my own homelands and our families and countries across the Gulf of Carpentaria and beyond. I'm so pleased that Rachel Amani Yenna, our Chief Executive Officer of the Carpentaria Land Council, and her daughter Maya are here with me and my family tonight. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. 2023 was an extraordinary, strong year for Australian literature. Our writers sit alongside the best in the world in terms of how we bring literature into new, important and exciting forms of content. The level of achievement is impressive and must be applauded. I thank the stellar judges for all your hard work. I know you had such a huge task this last year, and you have my admiration. I am deeply touched that you gave your heart and mind and deep reading of all 227 entries for the Stella Award. It's just phenomenal. It was such a great honour for me that Praiseworthy was included firstly in the Stella long list and then in the shortlist, along with Swift Dark Tide by Katia Ariel, Body Friend by Catherine Barham, Feast by Emily O'Grady, Hospital by Sanya, Rusty, Abandon Every Hope, Essays for the Dead by my good friend Hayley Singer from Melbourne University, who welcomed me from the very first time when I first started there. I extend my heartfelt congratulations to all shortlisted authors and your publishers. I am truly honoured that Praiseworthy now joins the prestigious company of previous winners of the Stella Prize. I am humbled and somewhat amazed that Praiseworthy now sits alongside Tracker, and that I have been awarded this enormous honour, the work of a dreamer, for the second time. I do not write expecting to win prizes. In the Aboriginal world, we work very hard, but that often does not equate to great success or accolades. My work is flown from a commitment I made long ago to always challenge myself as a writer, to take risks and explore the world through my imagination. My main motivation with Praiseworthy was to complete the book. and rise to the challenges it presented. I have the greatest respect for the work of the Stella and its commitment to nurturing and promoting the work of women writers in this continent. It makes me feel sure that all the authors on the long list and short list will grow in strength and endurance as the years come. Thank you to the Stella Forever Fund for your generous funding of the Stella Prize. As I was preparing this speech, I thought about the process I take to my writing. As a writer, I find myself spending a great deal of time exploring big questions such as climate change and its impact on our community and our future. I believe it is important that works of literature takes on these challenges. and develop literary forms that do it justice. So being here today is a far cry from what I normally do as a writer, locked in thoughts about a book for almost 10 years, or in how I think about the world, or even in how I work on the questions, ideas and concerns that have been strong enough to keep me on a long journey of asking how I might bring a new book together, give it a full life, portray a truer sense of our world and of ourselves, and how to create a better sense of what it means to be in a world at this time by questioning our sense of moving forward towards the future. In Praiseworthy, the character called Widespread asks, which way am I humanity? What's plan A or plan B? It may be that such questions about the growing and endless challenges of our fast-changing world are too big for literature. And perhaps some will say such questions are far too big for Australian literature. I believe literature must meet the scale of what is happening in the world. We have to even foolishly believe that anything can be done in life or in literature with deep thought, and that after reworking every word, line and page many times, you might find that you can pull a big manuscript together. It can resonate with the very full spectrum of what it means to be human in the hot light of the 21st century. You may find that you can make the work hold together over hundreds of pages, have made it stand up and know it will not fall over, and finally feel in your bones that you have made a good attempt to grab the scale, or at least have wrestled with a big chunk you've broken off from the colossal narratives of the ever-changing, unprecedented scope of what is happening in the world right now in our times. I was inspired to write Praiseworthy after asking some hard questions about climate change and the concerns I have about the survival of our ancient culture. I was concerned to explore what unabated global warming will mean for an increasing number of poor people in the world, what it will mean for many Aboriginal people who are already living through unprecedented times on a daily basis, as they have done for well over 2 centuries without much relief nor respect for their sovereign rights. How do we survive an uncertain future? In Praiseworthy, I looked at the reality of our circumstances and what it would mean to face the challenge of living on a burning planet and carrying our culture and ancient wisdom into the future. I wanted to capture the spirit of the times at home and across the world for a work of literature that was not just about ourselves, but that was also capable of capturing the beauty and joy of all things, the big and the small. I started work on Praiseworthy at the same time I started work on Tracker. When I was in Darwin to begin research with Tracker, I started Praiseworthy by visiting the Darwin Museum to study a display of local butterflies. I kept studying butterflies and moths, beetles and donkeys, and much more, which would become a part of Praiseworthy. I intended Praiseworthy to be a big book, in more ways than one. I hope the scale of the book is right for the times we live in. My writing journey did not come from nowhere. I think of my grandmother, a woman of great wisdom, independence and self-reliance, who from my early childhood had guided my understanding about being in a world full of wonder and imagination. My mother was an exceptionally strong person, and she taught me what sheer determination and independence looked like, and what it would take to live in the world that I was growing into, and how to be prepared to meet some of the harsh realities of our life. I had the enormous privilege throughout my working career to work with many of our great and finest elders of cultural knowledge and wisdom, and to work with many brilliant Aboriginal political leaders. They all gave their time generously and gave me important guidance and opportunity to help me take my share of responsibility in our world. As a writer, I've received great guidance through many brilliant colleagues, like my good friend and author Nicholas Joyce, who is here tonight, as he's been right from the start. I studied at RMIT University and then became a continuous member of the World-Class Writing and Society Research Centre established by Western Sydney University in 2008. I was again strongly supported by the University of Melbourne in my work as the Bobovia Chair of Australian Literature from 2018 to 2022. I'm indebted to these universities for helping me become the writer I am today. I'm eternally grateful that my writing career has been guided by my publisher, Giramondo Publishing, for almost 2 decades. I'm indebted to the literary vision of Ivan Indik. He is a genius and literary hero. His knowledge of literature, readership and publishing is unparalleled. I was recognised and highly respected across the world for his achievements as a publisher. In fact, I believe Ivor is the best publisher in the world. His total dedication, care and valuing of praiseworthy right through the publishing process was extraordinary and exemplary. Thank you, Ivor, Ev, Jenny Grigg for the magic cover of the swarming yellow butterflies in flight, and I thank all the hard-working team at Giramondo. What gives me great comfort and joy are my children and our far-reaching families. I thank my daughter Lily for her company on the long journey of writing praiseworthy, for listening to some of the lines as they were being written, and always giving 100% positive feedback. It counts. And for enjoying the music. Finally, I could not do what I do without the love and support of a very patient and generous husband. I thank my wonderful husband Tolly, who is here and sharing this incredible occasion. Thank you, Stella. You're amazing, and you know what? You make me feel glad all over. Enjoy Praiseworthy. Please tell everybody to read it. It's yours. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Stella Prize winner, Alexis Rowe. I'm sorry, 2 times Stella Prize winner. Congratulations to the long-listed authors, to the long-listed authors, to the long-listed and the short-listed, and of course to our prize winner. And thank you all for being here this evening and supporting this really fabulous prize and the Australian writing that comes from it and that exists because of it. Never forget that prizes like this are actually an ambition. They're a beacon on the hill, and they encourage women to get their pens out and to do that thing that they've been dreaming of doing. So we look forward to seeing the fruits of their labour in the years to come. Please stay, have a drink, have some desserts. Readings is selling all of the long-listed authors up the back. So thanks for being here and good night.